Now let's study about the human embryo. The fertilized ovum undergoes division as it moves down to the oviduct and gets attached to the soft tissues of the uterus. Once gets attached, the embryo sinks to the soft inner uterine wall. Then certain cells of the embryo develop into membranous structure, which helps to nourish, protect and support the developing and growing embryo. Now let us see to this diagram and study about the human embryo. Now let's study about the human embryo. After fertilization, the thickness of the endometrium continues and ready to receive the embryo. It provides nutrients, that is, it gives nourishment and also disposes the waste materials of the developing embryo. Now today's topic is about human embryo. So now let us see to this diagram of human embryo. So we have seen that there are membranous structures. So these membranous structures are chorion, amnion, allantois and yolk sac. So now let us see the outer one, which is called as chorion. The next layer you call it as amnion. The next one is called as placenta. So this region is called as amnion. Now let us see the very importance of these membranous structures. Now let us see about chorion. The outermost finger-like projections, we call this one membranous structure as chorion. Into the soft tissues of the uterus, we can observe tiny finger-like projections growing from the surface of the outer membrane called as chorion. We can observe small pools of rapidly moving blood around these finger-like projections in the uterine wall. The importance of this chorion is that these tissues of the chorion and the adjacent part of the uterine wall makes up of placenta. So the importance of this chorion, that is this chorion, these tissues of the chorion and the adjacent part of the uterine tissue make up placenta. Placenta is the next membranous structure. Now let us see about importance of placenta. Placenta is formed by the cells from the embryo, the mother. It is formed around 12 weeks of pregnancy. Helps in nourishment. So the importance of this placenta is it gives nourishment to the embryo. The blood system of the mother and the embryo are separate. So we know that the blood is supplied to a living organism. So here also to mother and the embryo, the blood system are separate by thin membranes made up of cells, which helps in exchange of this by means of diffusion. So it also gives exchange of the gases like oxygen and carbon dioxide and provides nutrients and collects the waste materials. All these are done by the process by means of diffusion. The another membrane, it is surrounded around the embryo, which you call it as amnion. It is filled with fluid called as amniotic fluid. So the embryo is able to live. That is the importance of this amniotic fluid. It keeps the embryo moist and gives protection for the embryo from minor mechanical injury. So the embryo develops in this fluid-filled cavity called as amniotic fluid. Now we can see a tubular structure. A long tubular structure called as umbilical cord is present in embryo. So this umbilical cord, it has very important blood vessels that connect with placenta. So it's very clear that chorion is an adjacent part of the uterine tissue, and the chorion with the adjacent part of the uterine tissues make up placenta. Placenta is the membranous structure. Placenta is a membranous structure that is produced, that means it's formed after 12 weeks of pregnancy. It helps in nourishment. The importance of placenta is it helps for the nourishment of the growing embryo. Now let us see to the next layer, that's next structure, membranous structure called as amnion. So this amnion helps to make the embryo to get developed inside this amniotic fluid. Amnion is a membranous structure. The very importance of this is that it develops the growing embryo. That means the embryo gets developed in the amniotic fluid, and it helps to keep the embryo moist and protect from the mechanical injury, any minor mechanical injury. There is another membrane called as ALLANTOIS. Now let's study about this yolk sac. Yolk sac encloses fluid-filled cavity. It has no specific function in placental mammals. Now let us see that from the 3rd month of pregnancy, the embryo is called as fetus. Pregnancy lasts on average of near to 9 months or 280 days. This period is called as gestation period.